What's up, you guys? Welcome to another episode of the Best Man Podcast. It's been a while, but I want to get right into it and just kind of talk about a couple different things with you guys tonight. The first one being the comfort zone. I think a lot of us are really used to being in a comfort zone. I've talked with a lot of guys, and something that keeps us from being successful is getting so used to staying in a comfort zone, whether it's the environment that we grew up in, whether it's the friend groups that we're used to hanging out in, whether it's the job that we're in. We get so used to being comfortable doing the same things every day. And what I found actually in my own personal journey was that being in a comfort zone can actually hinder your progress. A lot of us, we don't want to get out of our comfort zone. One, because it's very weird to do things that we don't normally do. That's what makes it uncomfortable. This is outside of what we normally do. It's outside of what we know. It's outside of what's familiar. And with that, there's two things that go on right there. There's that sense of adventure, which is fun, right? You're doing something you don't normally do or you haven't tried before. But then there's that sense of chaos, that sense of not knowing what's going to happen, not knowing how you're going to do and whatever it is that you're trying. And that leads to this fear, this very, very crippling fear that we have. The second thing I want to talk about today, which is failure. I think that a lot of people, especially men, really struggle with this fear of failure. And I think that society really hasn't done us any favors because we've been raised, a lot of us in this generation have been raised to believe that any type of failure is outright unacceptable. And the problem is when you feel that way about failure, it paralyzes you, for one. It makes you not want to do anything at all. It encourages you to stay comfortable and therefore stay stagnant and not make any progress in life. But it also robs you of the potential success you could have when you take those chances, when you take those risks. As men, we do have to be adventurous. We do have to take risks, especially when we're younger. The younger we are, the more encouraged we should be to take risks because that's what gets us to the next level that we want to get to. A lot of people that are successful in this world wouldn't have gotten there if they didn't take the risk and risk failing. And so, really quick, a couple of the reasons why people might be afraid of failure is one, that fear of rejection, right? If you fail, you're going to be rejected. If you fail in your job, you're afraid you're going to be fired. If you fail to say the right thing to impress somebody, you're afraid that you won't be liked. If you fail at trying something, you might feel that you're inadequate or incompetent or stupid or that you're not worthy of acceptance or love or even success. And I'm here to tell you that that simply isn't the case. Um, the fear of failure should never stop you from taking the risk. And to apply that to my own life, I've found myself growing really complacent and going to the same places and doing the same things. You know how it is. A lot of us can be creatures of habit, and that means, we do the same thing over and over and over again. And sometimes we might know that we need to make a change, but it's really difficult to make that change because we're just so stuck in the familiarity of everything around us. It's so comfortable to hang out with the people that you grew up with. It's so comfortable to, stay behind the scenes and not ruffle any feathers at work because you don't want to risk losing your job, even though risking, stepping on a couple of toes might lead to a promotion. We're so comfortable staying where we are, and it simply hinders us, man. And so in my own personal life, I have these goals outside of the Best Man podcast that I'm looking to accomplish. And a month ago or 2 months ago, I realized that I was going to have to learn certain skill sets that were going to unlock a lot of doors for me in the future. And one of those skill sets was sales. And growing up, that was never something that I was really interested in. Always hated fundraising growing up, always, hated having to ask people for things because, like I said, along with that fear of failure is that fear of rejection. Who wants to be told no day in and day out? And when you go into any kind of sales role, that's essentially what you're asking to do, is go in there and be told no day in and day out. But what I decided to do was I told myself sales is something that I definitely need to learn to become the man that I want to be in the future, to unlock other opportunities for myself. And so what I did was lead myself into a sales position, a position that actually requires me to reach out to people that I may or may not know and sell them services for something that they may or may not need. And what this does is it puts you, or me particularly, in a situation where I'm uncomfortable. You know, I'm cold calling people, pretty much asking them for business, and they can say no. They can get angry and say no. They can reject me because they don't like me. They can reject me because they don't like the product. They can reject me simply based off of price point. You know, there's a lot of different reasons for why rejection can happen. And when you're in a role like that, it's easy to feel like a failure just because you're being told no on a very regular basis. But what that does is, one, it builds tough skin. If any man in this world is going to be successful, you absolutely have to have tough skin. There's no getting around it. You can't hide in your own cave. You can't hide under your shell and just avoid interaction with all people and hope to be successful at whatever it is you do. I mean, you know, if you're doing something that allows you to be completely isolated, like coding or, you know, day trading or something like that, yeah, you can probably be successful, you know, staying in your shell, doing your own thing. But a lot of people that have gotten successful out there in the world, they know that a lot of times it comes with having access to other people. You know, the wider your network is, the broader your network is, the more diverse it is, the more opportunities tend to flow towards you. And one way to get comfortable building that network is to go into something like sales. And so, you know, that's just a personal example from my own life, but something that I've seen out there in the world as well. It's just people doing things on a regular basis to make themselves uncomfortable. As men, we have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. So, you know, if you want to get more confident in approaching people, well, instead of watching a bunch of YouTube videos on how to approach people, get up out of your seat and go talk to some stranger. I mean, that's really as simple as it can be. You know, if you want to grow in your health, get off the couch and go to the gym. It's not going to be comfortable, especially if you've never gone or haven't gone in a very, very long time. The first few times you go, it's going to be very, very, very uncomfortable. Shoot, I've been getting in the gym regularly myself, and it's still pretty uncomfortable. But what it's doing to me is boosting my confidence. It's making me more adventurous. It's allowing me to take on more risks, and that's bringing more opportunities my way just by doing something as simple as going to the gym, waking up early and getting a workout in. You know, for you, it might be making it a point to strike up a conversation with a stranger just to get used to, you know, that possible feeling of rejection, just to get used to, you know, speaking to other people, because something that you might need to work on is networking. You never know where your next opportunity to succeed is going to come from. It might come from someone you decided to just strike up a conversation with, right? It might look like, you know, if you are in sales or if you're new in sales, just jumping into the deep end and trying to make a call. I'll be the first one to tell you, you're going to screw up probably pretty bad on your first few calls. If you're cold calling somebody, you know, you might get the script wrong. You might stutter over your words. You might not know what to say if they do say yes. You might get stuck if they do say no. But what happens is you gain very, very valuable experience. And all of this is centered around getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because here's the cold, hard truth. All right? Everybody fails at something. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you're trying. Anytime you set out to do something, you're bound to encounter failure. But you shouldn't look at it as if you fail, you're suddenly this person that's not worth anything, or you're suddenly incompetent or invaluable, or you suck. That's not how you should look at it. You should look at it as the stepping stones towards success. You know, I got to remind you, Michael Jordan missed over 9,000 shots in his career, but you don't remember those. You know, he lost nearly 300 games in his career, and he's still going down as one of the greatest basketball players to ever touch the ball. Thomas Edison, the inventor of the light bulb. You know, the stories that I read, he tried over 1,000 times. And some stories, they say he tried over 10,000 times to create a light bulb. And a lot of those times failed. But that 1,001st try, that 10,001st try, it gave us the electricity. It gave us the light that we use on a very regular basis. He changed the world, being willing to fail over and over and over again. If you look at someone like Walt Disney, He went bankrupt trying to get to the point where he was, to the point where he got, right? He went bankrupt. He eventually, got himself back together, started a company with his brother, came up with the idea of Mickey Mouse, and with that idea, he skyrocketed to the top. That's what can happen, but he had to go through those types of failures. Even Dr. Seuss, he was rejected 27 times before his book started to get published on a massive level. It's going to take time. It's going to take risk. It's going to take getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's going to take, getting used to being told no. It's going to it's going to be a lot of falling on your face, falling on your back, slipping up. Sometimes it's going to be public. Sometimes it's going to be private. We've talked about being accountable. A lot of your failures in private are really a huge opportunity for you to grow. Some people, they're so terrified of failing in public, but they're really, really comfortable failing in private. And that's really, really weird. It's failure is failure, but it shouldn't be something that you run from. Anything that you're going to be successful in, you're going to suck at. Personally, my brother's one of the best skateboarders I know. And it's because he practiced and practiced and practiced at it. He'd be out there since day one. I remember the day we were all younger, we all got skateboards. And, me, man, I was trying to pop a simple ollie. I couldn't get it down. No matter how much I tried, I just simply couldn't make it happen, right? So I gave up. I realized, skating's not for me. It's just not something that I do. I let it go. But he kept trying. He would fall, he'd get back on, and he'd keep trying and keep trying. And eventually he got the ollie down. And then he moved on to the kickflip. And then he moved on to all these other tricks to where now, he's legitimately one of the best skaters that I know. But he wouldn't have gotten there if he wasn't willing to take the scrapes and the bruises and the sprains and the falls. And that's what it takes to be good at it, at whatever it is that you do. I'll give you another example. I actually really enjoy public speaking. It's very, very different when you're sitting in front of a camera, trying to talk to people and trying to get a message out there. But, when I first started doing public speaking, it was very, very uncomfortable getting up in front of a class full of students and giving a spiel on whatever it is I wanted to give a spiel on. It was very uncomfortable. And so what I did was I joined a debate team. They call it Model UN. I joined the debate team, and at first, I really, really sucked. As a matter of fact, I remember going to a competition, and one time I lost one of my partners a competition because I was so nervous and so afraid to speak. But the second time I was in a competition, my partner at the time, he put our name up on the board to get up and speak. There was a board that you put your name on, you get up there, and when it's your turn, you speak. Well, he put our names on the board, and I was thinking, all right, cool. He was a very charismatic guy. He was very knowledgeable. He was very, very, very persuasive. Really great stage presence. Well, just before our time came up, he said, hey, I'm going to go to the bathroom. I was like, all right, cool. Surely he'll be back before the person gets done, right? No. The person that was up there speaking, he sits down, we get called up, I have to get out there and speak. And it was at that moment I realized, I'm going to have to do this on my own. And so I took the risk, I got up there, and I spoke. I wasn't nearly as good as he would have been. I didn't drive the point home nearly as well as he might have been able to, but I got up there and I did it anyway. And it was terrible. But you know what? I got rid of speaking. I got rid of my fear of speaking that day. I got rid of that fear. I went on to speak at my high school graduation. I went on to, become an orientation leader and facilitate, large groups of group conversations. I've managed teams before due to my public speaking ability. I've given seminars and courses to my own school before based on that one experience. And so I say all that to say this. Anything you believe worth trying, anything you believe worth going for, one, obviously you need to believe that it's possible. You need to believe that you can do it. And two, understand it's going to take work to accomplish it. And third, understand that failure is a natural part of that process. Getting uncomfortable and being comfortable with that feeling is a natural part of the process. And I promise you, once you get used to that feeling of being uncomfortable, it's going to start to feel a bit normal. You're going to get better at doing whatever it is you're trying to do, whether it's speaking, writing, sales, communicating with other people. Anything you can think of, you try it, you fail at it, you get better at it. Eventually, you can master that skill. Many of us know how to ride a bike. Many of us probably fell off a bike the first time we tried to ride a bike. That's just how it goes. Children, when they're growing up, they try to learn how to walk. They fall several times learning how to walk, but none of us really struggling with walking now. So it all goes to show that anything worth being able to do, anything worth having, is going to take risks. It's going to take you taking chances. It's going to take you, getting out there, stepping out of your comfort zone, leaving the place that you grew up, getting away from the circles of people that you're used to hanging around. If you're aware of the fact that you need to be around a different set of people to get where you want to go. Once you realize these are things you have to do as men, it's on you to make that happen. If you're looking around and you're the smartest person in your group and you realize, hey, if I want to go to the next level, I have to be around people that are smarter than me, it's on you to get out there, get uncomfortable, make the connections to make that happen. If you're in a place where you realize you need to make more income and that requires learning a new skill, it's on you to put that in motion. It's on you to do the things necessary to get that new skill to bring you the income that you need. It's all possible. It's all there, but you have to be willing to go out there and get it. You have to be willing to go out there and risk the failure. That's what makes us men. That call to adventure, that call into the unknown, that call to walk a path that we haven't walked before. That's what makes us better. That's what makes us successful. That's what brings us towards greatness if that's something that you want to achieve. I want to be great. I'm going to be great. But it's going to take me risking. It's going to take me failing. It's going to take me, getting on here, getting comfortable, being on camera and talking about whatever it is I need to talk about to empower people to be the best version of themselves. Because that's ultimately what I want to do. And I might not be the best at it right now, but I know that in a year's time, 6 months' time, 3 years' time, I can be really, really good at it. But it's going to take consistent effort, consistently getting uncomfortable, getting on here, speaking, reaching out, encouraging. These are things that I might not be very good at right now. I might be pretty decent at it depending on whoever you are. Someone might look at this and think, hey, he's really, really good at what he's doing right now. There are others that are like, yo, he's got a long way to go. One, neither of those opinions really matter to me. And two, anyone's entitled to have their opinion. But as long as I know where I'm trying to go and I'm willing to get out there and try to make it happen, I can feel confident in myself. I can be proud of myself. I can look back and say, you know what? I tried. I did. Something that I've really been big on these last few weeks is leaving a legacy of execution and following through. Starting something and finishing it. That was something that I wasn't really the best at growing up. And that's something that I want to end and completely change towards the end of my life, right? Starting right now throughout the rest of my life, starting something and finishing it, no matter how rough it might start, no matter how rough it might get, no matter how rough it might end, starting something and finishing it. But that takes failure along the way. It takes getting uncomfortable along the way. You can't be complacent when you're trying to be successful. You can't be fearful of failure when you're trying to be successful. You can't get so caught up in being comfortable when it comes time to be successful. You simply can't do that. If you're going to be the best version of yourself, if you're going to be the best man for yourself and for your family, and for your community, for your circle, you have to be willing to take risks. You have to be willing to fail and get back up and try again. I'm going to mess this up a little bit, but there's a great investor named Ray Dalio came up with this book called Principles of Success. And what he pretty much, shows us is this loop that people go through. And it's this loop where someone starts out trying to do something, they start to make a little bit of progress, and then they fail. It's inevitable. They fail. In that process of failing, they learn what they did wrong, they adjust, and then they try again. And what you notice is if you repeat that process over and over and over again, inevitably, you have nowhere else to go but right to your target. Now, what that tells us is two things. One, success is not linear. You're not going to go in a straight line just like this or just like that. 9 times out of 10, it's not going to happen like that. It's going to go like this sometimes. It might go like this sometimes. If you ever seen a stock market chart, how it goes up and down and fluctuates like that, that's a lot of what success looks like. You make a little bit of progress, you get some momentum, you fall down. You reset, you readapt, You make a little bit more progress, you fall down a little bit more. And you keep doing that over and over again until you reach the top of the mountain. And as men, we all have a journey we're trying to walk. We all have a path we're trying to walk. We all have a mountain that we're trying to climb. And it's our mountain. We choose it for ourselves. We identify it for ourselves. We map it out for ourselves. And we walk it for ourselves. But it's on us to do it. So that's my message for today. I don't want to run too long. I appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, if you guys want to reach out and talk about, where it is you want to go and how we can help you guys get there, I'm more than welcome to discuss it with you. I'm here to help us all be better. I'm here to help us all walk our journey and be the best versions of ourselves that we can be. But until next time, guys, tune out, get up, get out. Let's make a way to make it happen.